Uh, Welcome students. Today we are starting this course on compiler, and in this course actually we will try to learn what compilers are and how they are actually implemented. So here actually in this lecture we will introduce the compilers, what actually the compilers are, why the compilers are needed, in what applications they are used, and then from next lecture we will talk about the compilers. So, for example, let us consider code, simple code like int a variable, another variable, a while loop, kind of. Now you want to execute this code. The question is how this code is executed. Executing this code means you actually want the hardware to do something for you. You have written like this: int something is equal to 0. Int something means int variable name. A variable name is equal to 0. Semicolon. Very nice. Now you want the hardware to do something. What the hardware will do is for this statement, the hardware has to allocate some memory and associate it with this variable LPOS, L position. And on that allocated memory, you have to store 0. Now, computer only understands zeros and ones. You have written something in something like English, right? Int variable name is equal to 0, and the hardware does what you want. Hardware understands zeros and ones. So, executing these statements needs some middleware, I should say, some kind of software which will convert your English like language into machine readable language, that is USML, so that your hardware could understand what instruction is and what it has to do. So for this you have two options. One is interpreter, another is compiler. A little difference between interpreter and compiler. What the difference is, the interpreter, okay, let me read this thing first. Interpreter is just a program that reads the source program and produces the results of executing the program. Basically what happens, interpreter executes the source program line by line. Actually, for the interpreter, the input is the source program along with the user input. So, interpreter executes one line of code at a time, takes the line, interprets it, whether it is the language correct or not, and then execute it. However, compiler is a little different. Compiler will convert, I should say, translate your program, source program, I should say, your program from source language, one language to another language. The first language we are saying as it is a source language, and the second language is the target language. So, compiler is something which will convert your whole program in from one language to another language. So, certain issues say both compilers and interpreter will have to read the program, right? They will have to read the stream of characters and understand it. Understand means they will have to analyze, yeah, whether it is written correctly or not. Because whenever we talk about a language has to be in a proper manner. Certain constants are there that firstly you will have to write one word, one keyword, after that another one, which will in future generate some meaning, right? So a language has a particular way of writing. So this compiler and interpreter both will read this stream of characters and try to analyze whether the statement, this stream of character, is matching the language or not. Means the compiler is written for one particular language. So given the stream of these characters, whether it is in the form that we want or it is not. So in this course of compiler, you will learn how this software has the capability to find out whether it is whether the sentence is matching a predefined grammar or not. Let us see some more details on interpreter or compiler. So, interpreter is just an execution engine. Uh, what happens is it actually, as I told you, it executes a statement by statement. Uh, so, program execution interleaves with analysis. Running is equal to true while running. Execute, actually analyze next statement and execute that statement. Analyze this statement, execute it. So this is what it keeps doing. So usually need repeated analysis of statement. These are the things, nothing new. So interpreter is something which will execute a statement by a statement, and if you want to do debugging and interaction, in that case this interpreter is good choice. Whereas there is something called compiler. It will analyze the whole program in one code. Now, what will happen is translate to semantically equivalent program in another language. It will create a target language for the source language. Now, what we assume is that the compiler are easier to execute, or maybe sometimes more efficient. Also, we also assume that this will improve the program in some fashion. We will see how the code optimizations are done. Offline process means there is certain trade-off between compile time overhead versus execution performance. So, uh, com for compilation, it will take some time. If you want the execution to be faster, in that case, you should go for this interpreter also. If you can give some time for compilation, then after that it will execute faster. That is it. Now you will see some implementations. If you will see the compilers, there are several compilers, maybe from Fortran, C, C++, Java, COBOL, and etc. etc. Several other languages are there. which have compilers. There is a strong need for optimization in many cases. Now interpret. There are certain languages like Perl, Python, Ruby, AWK, Shell, Scheme, Lisp, PostScript, several others. Java virtual machine. You will see in the next slide. I will tell you how Java is the compiler which will convert something your source program to bytecode. And after that, Java virtual machine is something an interpreter which will execute statement by statement. So particularly effective if interpreter we are talking about interpreters that they are effective if interpreter overhead is low related to execution cost of individual statement. Mm. So we are talking about this language Java, .NET, which are the combination of both compiler and interpreter. So this compiler, we use the compiler for converting the Java source program to bytecode, and then the Java virtual machine will execute the class files. What will happen? Interpret the bytecode. Yeah, it happens. So another variation maybe when we are talking about .NET compiler generate LSIL. All IL compiled to native code before execution. So now why do we want to study the compilers? First thing is if we are aware of these compilers, we will be a better program. We will have an understanding of the implementation techniques. We will have a better insight into the interaction between languages, compilers, and hardware. So, which will also help us in understanding this debugging stuffs. So, the last point is better intuition about what your code does. So if you are understanding this compiler, so you are aware how actually the languages are implemented. So you have a better understanding of a language, and it will help you in learning any language very quickly. So another important thing is uh, compiler techniques are everywhere. Uh, Wherever you go, whatever you do, you will get these compilers. Maybe uh, parsing different kind of languages, maybe XML, other whatever languages you hear, all of them will need such things. Database engines, query languages, domain-specific languages, text processing, other kind of hardware-related things, VHDL, mobile checking tools. In mathematics also, Mathematica or MATLAB, these kind of softwares are there. So all of them need these compilers. Other thing is fascinating blend of theory and engineering, which means compiler is something which is direct application of theory to practice, where you learn something called parsing, scanning, static analysis, and many other things like optimization, these kind of things. The second point is some very difficult problems like NP-hard or worse problems are there. Means resource allocation or optimization, these kind of things are there which need to be implemented. Right? So very nice thing to study. More than that, from CSE, several concepts of computer science are being used, starting from artificial intelligence, like the algorithms or heuristic search algorithms. These are the things which are being used. Graph algorithms, dynamic programming, approximation algorithms. These are the things are being used. You will see the grammars, DFA, PDA, pattern matching, fixed point algorithms. These are the things we will use. Uh, Allocation and naming, synchronization, these things, locality, architectures means we will use pipeline. Not use, we will at least if you have the concept of these things, pipelines, instructions that use, how this memory hierarchy management is there, it will help us. Now, the last and important thing is you can also write compilers. Actually, we will learn to write some small compilers, SSA, the parsers and interpreters in this course. Next is the structure of compiler. We will see this structure of compiler in the next lecture. I think for now it is